Let's start.
Hello,
And
everyone, and welcome to the iSpring Solutions webinar. Thank you very much for joining us today as we're going to speak about how to create engaging and interactive content using branch scenarios. My name is Paulina. I'm a community manager, and I will be the moderator for today's webinar. As a guest speaker, we have invited Guido Hornig. Hi, Guido. How are you doing today?
hello. I'm fine, thank you. And I'm here from Germany, and we have already evening. It's 6 o'clock in the evening, and I think everybody else comes from more in the west and as earlier in the day.
Yeah, well, that's great. I am happy to hear that you're doing great. Guido is our partner from Germany, and he's an engineer and a corporate trainer who has over 20 years of experience in e-learning and technology. And today he will be happy to speak for you guys. Guido, thank you very much for your willingness to present this topic for us today. And before we start the presentation, and I will pass the mic over to you, I just wanted to quickly mention that at the end of the webinar, we will have Q&A session. So if you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, don't hesitate to submit them in the question box, and you may find it in at the right side of your GoToWebinar panel. And I think that at this point we're ready to begin. So Guido, I'm passing the mic over to you.
Yes, thank you very much, Paulina. Yeah, I have prepared this presentation to check out the possibilities of branching and this new feature which came up in version 8.7, where you can freeze your animation, and when you come back to a slide, it's still like you have left it. And this makes it possible to have much nicer navigation, and it opens the door to more branching scenarios which were not possible before. Okay.
And
And yeah,
sorry for
I would
interrupting.
like to know,
Mhm.
I would like to know if anybody from the people who are listening has used branched scenarios in the past. Maybe we should ask them.
Yeah, let me launch a poll question really quickly. Okay, do you see the poll, Guido?
Yeah, and
Okay, great.
so I think that's easy to answer if you have used this and created some
Right. If you guys can
or
quickly
not.
take the vote and let us know, that will help us to move forward with our presentation. I mean, it will help Guido to move forward with his presentation. And it looks like almost everybody has taken the vote, so I will allow about a couple of more seconds for you guys to vote. Okay, so let me close the poll right now and share the results.
So okay, there's a big third who has already tried to create branch scenarios, and some who will really listen and see what I can offer. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, and because a branch scenario it's not linear to follow, so you need some more time to test it and some time to understand what is going on. And maybe you have already looked at our Mrs. Miller scenario. I think the link was inside the invitation for the webinar.
Yes.
And if you had a chance to look at it, have you done this? Have you looked through the Miller case? If not, it's no problem. I can show some of it, but maybe we can start faster if we know that everybody has done this before, but maybe not. Let's see what happens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people have voted, but let's give it another moment to everyone else who haven't done so. Okay, thank you very much, guys, for sharing with us. And let me close the poll. and then I will be able to share the feedback with you. All right, can you see it?
Okay, so you had not enough time to watch it. So I will introduce you to the Miller case. And Polina, is my screen now in?
Let me give the presenter rights to you, okay?
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Okay, and I think like this, isn't it? Can you check? Can everybody see this now? I'm not sure.
I can see your screen perfectly. Can you guys
Okay,
see
wonderful.
Guido's screen? Yes.
That's wonderful.
Yes, looks like people can see it. So.
Okay, so this is the Miller case in the iSpring cloud. That was very easy for me to upload it. And you can click everywhere just to go to the next slide. And there we have 3 persons. And here's in the header, there's some introduction what to do next. So we need to select one of the person. And one effect I have entered here is that if you put the mouse over someone, then the picture will change and you get more information also here. And I will show you immediately how to create this with PowerPoint and iSpring. So there's no next button and no previous button in the moment. So you really need to choose one of the persons to continue. So let's check Chris. And when we click on Chris the first time, he introduces himself with some text and we can see his apartment. And if we go back, we are still here. And now if we go again to Chris, then he changed his position. And the second time we visit him, we will go somewhere else. We will see a quiz. So immediately a quiz starts. And we have to answer some questions. And maybe we can already answer the question. We have enough information or not. So maybe Hilda is Mrs. Miller's doctor. I submit this. This is incorrect. I continue and I get an information slide to get some, where can I find this information? And the next slide is outside of the quiz. It's again here and in the beginning. And now I need to investigate into the other persons. So it's a little bit like a game where you have to click and search and interview the non-player characters. The same happens here. So we can go back. If we go there again, we get a different picture. And if we go a second time to her picture, we get an interview with her and we can ask her some questions. And this is created also with iSpring with the Talkmaster, the talking simulation tool. And I ask her, can you tell me more about Hilda? And yeah, she asks something back and I ask her, and so I can investigate in the Miller case. And I have to find the exit of this just by clicking around and playing. And in the end, I get some points here and I find out that Mrs. Miller is not a doctor. She is just a patient. Okay, and I continue and now I'm able to answer his questions correctly and can go to the next chapter. Okay, I think this should first be enough to, if you want to look in more detail in this, you can always find this on the website. It's LearnLink and Miller. There is an English and a German test case. And you can also listen to a German webinar if you like, but now we continue in English. Okay, so what I created with iSpring was this presentation here with PowerPoint, and I added a quiz, and I used also a lot of functions inside of iSpring, simulation, quiz, and also the presentation explorer a little bit. And now I will show you in detail what I have done and what the idea behind all this is. I think what I want to show you is how you can hunt for some reusable patterns for a branched scenario. I work with a small e-learning toolkit, so I have my boxes here, and I can create for all the e-learning I do. I create this small storyboard. You can call it storyboard. Maybe it's not. Other people use Post-its or just pen and paper. And because I'm mechanical engineer, I need this center line to start, and I have an end and I have a beginning. And from there on, I say, okay, after the learning target, then I create a content slide. And from the content slide, I go to the talk master. And from there will be an end of the section. And then I decided, one content slide, maybe it's a little bit boring. So we do another one. We do a branch somewhere and have another content slide. And also from the first content slide, why not offer different options, not only talk master, but also quiz maker and also other content slides. And then the content, so we have a project introduction, that's the title screen. We have some introduction to the persons which occur in the story, and we have interviews with everybody. And so this is what you see in the beginning, then the slide where you can branch into the other sections, and the talk master. And here the person introduction is just a series of slides. Then we have the quiz maker and also another slide. So this is what we have already seen in the Muller case before. And I think it's already enough systematical research in the beginning that we could start with something. But first, I also want to think about how we can go back from each slide. What will happen then? Not only forward navigation, also backward navigation is possible. And this will be the next systematic analysis we need to do. But now let's see how we can create this. So I think we can start with an empty background. You can also add the background later in the moment. Oh, I cannot see my mouse. What is this? Oh my God. Maybe I need to, oh, here it is. Okay. Whew. Yes, I used the characters from the content library from iSpring. There are much more characters now, and yeah, I used Kevin. Kevin has plenty of different body language positions here, and I think we can just use this one. He looks serious, and I insert him into the picture, and we do this also with the other characters. So in the library, it's called Susan. Now we take the friendly looking one. Okay, and the last one is the nurse, and her name is Janet in the library, and I think I called her differently. Okay, and in this. So now we have three pictures here, and all these three are gates to the next slide. They are the links. to have this mouse over effect, we need for each mouse over, we need a different slide. So the first thing I do is I copy it with Control D for duplicate. So I have a second slide here with exactly the same. And because they should be gray, I color them, select, double click and select this color here. And then I need a connection to this slide, but for each person we need this mouse over slide. So I copy it 2 more times, and now we have systematically we need systematically to have only one colored, so that we have the effect of that only one is the selected mouse over person. And you always will switch with the mouse over effect. You will switch to a whole slide, so everything can happen with mouse over. And to make it look like a typical mouse over effect, you need some repetition on the second slide. Okay, now we have the starting point, and we have a person highlighted. And now let's use PowerPoint to connect this. If you click Insert, you will find Actions. So this one is selected, and I click Action. And it's not so easy to see in the first time, but here's click mouse click or mouse over. So you need to select mouse over. And the second one is we hyperlink to some slide. And it's good to know the number of the slide. Or you can just click here and select the one you want to have. And I think it's number 3 we need for him. Okay, so hyperlink to slide number 3, and that's it. Okay, and she needs to mouse over hyperlink to slide number 4. Okay, and to save a little bit of time, let's test this. And I press Shift and F5 to get the PowerPoint preview. Here's my mouse, and when I enter the picture, it switches back to it switches to this slide. But I cannot go back on my own. I need to navigate with the PowerPoint previous button to go back, and here I can test her. So how can we do this, that we can go back when the mouse leaves the picture? That's not so difficult. We have a background. So for the background of the picture, we just add another action. Mouse over background means we go back to slide number 2, where our collection of people is waiting. Okay, and now we should have done this when we have before we have copied everything, but it doesn't take so long. So here, slide number 2 is where we want to go back, and of course this is also necessary for the third one. Go back to slide number 2. Okay, now this should really work, that we can have a mouse over and mouse back effect. Let's check it out. Okay, now when I leave the picture, it goes back to the other slide. And so we really switch slides. This is slide number 3. This is slide number 2. And this is slide number 4, slide number 2. But you can't see it. You can see it here in the corner, here below. There is the number. And this is how we can create a mouse over effect. And from here, we now can say, okay, if we go there the second time, what happens then? How can we create a second approach? And we need to have another object, and we have to animate these objects that they disappear or appear according to the thing we do with the mouse. So first, let me add another, and here I need iSpring, add another character, and we use him with, let's use this one. And I don't put him exactly on top, so I can easily select both pictures. So when I come back the second time, this one needs to be disappeared and this one needs to have appeared then. So I need some animation, and I add the animation pane. And so when I have this, when we arrive here, then and click, no, how was it? Yeah, when we have clicked on it after mouse over, then it should disappear and this one should appear. Okay, so we add a disappear animation to this one, and we add an fade in for this one. And now we need to add the trigger for clicking on this, means doing these two animations. So I can say this object gets a trigger, and when we click on, no, first we need, the name is picture 2, and with the trigger we start the animation of picture 2. But we also start the animation of picture 3. I just can move this here and now. Let's test it. So we go here again and use Shift F5, and mouse over still works. And when I click on it, oops, disappears and the other appears. So we need to change the timing maybe. This does not work so good. So okay, we need an immediately disappear and immediately appear, and with no duration time. So that's automatically yes. But we still need the trigger, and we don't need that it takes another mouse event. So we say this happens together with the first one, and this also happens together with after we clicked. So I think this is now what we need, and to Shift F5. Okay, I click on it one time and the other one appears. And it's still not the right one. We need here, we need on click. Okay. And now I can put them together. And I also need that this one, if I click it, goes to the next slide where we have, for example, the information about this character. But I think that's a really simple slide, so I just think we can save some time, and we send the mouse click here. Okay, so when someone clicks on this, then we want an action, and the action is we hyperlink to slide number, it was 17. Yes. Okay, and on slide 17, if we click on back, we go to slide number 3. I hope this is still true. let's see what action is here. It goes back to slide 13 because this was my first approach here. So, but let's use our slide number 3. Okay, and start testing. So the Mouseover still works. If I click on it, I go there, and if I go back, it has already changed. And if I now mouse over, I see the changed body. So, and this can be the portal to the next stage. Okay. So let's look again on our strategic paper here. There is the structure that we can go to another content slide and then we can go back, which is really important. And there should also be an exit, and we need to check for this exit. In the moment, only from the quiz maker you can go to the exit slide. Or if you answer wrong, you go back to the content slide. And there's also a connection to the talk master. And from the talk master, if you have finished it, you go back to the content slide. Or you go to a content slide and come back. Okay, and only the first time we go to this content slide. Let's
Guido?
look. Yep.
And there was a question from Matt. Guido, did you diagram the Muller scenarios before you started building your PowerPoint? So I assume this kind of answers that question, right?
Yes, first I started just with PowerPoint, but then I recognized it's a little bit more complex than I thought, and it really helped me in the end that I had this kind of drawing. I didn't draw it so exactly as I do it now for the presentation, but I have made a hand drawing because suddenly I stuck somewhere and I had no idea where to go.
Thank you.
So we have already this first and second time scenario we have already built in PowerPoint. So we have one content slide and can branch into 3 different directions. And oops, there's something German inside, sorry. And I call this pattern where you go somewhere and go back, I call this excursion, that you have the possibility to go the normal way or that you go into this excursion and come back. And I think that's a safe approach for branched scenarios, and it can really make things more interesting, that there is some investigation option for the learner or for the user of the scenario. Okay, in this pattern, we have added a mouse over. So it gets a little bit more complex with the excursion. Each of the content slide has also a next content slide. And this makes it more interesting that you have a mouse over effect and that the people talk to you directly. Okay. Then we have the next complexity is that we have these changing targets. So when you go there the first time and click on it, it is different from the second time. The first one goes to just the intro and the second goes to the quiz maker. And this is done with another overlay and trigger. Okay, and now from the first, wait, yeah. So this explains a little bit more in detail what's going on inside of the Muller case. I think we should now go into this quiz maker part. And I go back to the real presentation. Wait a moment, and to the quiz. And here I definitely definitely need iSpring. If you wonder why I use iSpring DX, it's because I can have the German version, iSpring Suite, and the English version, iSpring DX, on the same computer at the same time. I don't use any functions from DX. It's all from iSpring Suite, and I developed it with iSpring Suite. So now we open the quiz maker, and it's only very few questions, only 2 questions. It has an introduction, and it has 2 result slides. But these questions are not both questions. This one is a question, and this one is only an info slide. So we really have a quiz with 5 slides and only 1 question to make this scenario here happen. We cannot see the branching in the slide view. We can only see branching in the form view. And here you can see a small symbol. Here is branching. So the branching is used and the question is selected. And if I switch to feedback and branching, you can see that I choose for correct question. I choose to go to finish the quiz, and for the incorrect question, I decided to go back. But I didn't go back. I just go to the next question, and the next question is this info slide. And the branching after the info slide is we have still not we have not enough points, so we will leave with with a failing result slide, which is this one. Okay, so we do not try to answer the question a second time inside of this branch scenario. This won't work because it's already answered, but we can go into the quiz module again, and I show you where you can select that you can answer the question again, because it's a little bit hidden. Okay, so we have the quiz finished. Yeah, I don't want to show how you create quizzes in iSpring. This is a little bit too basic for this advanced course. But when you want to add another question in the quiz maker, they are here, and there are so many different types. These are graded questions where you get points, or survey questions where you just want to ask people things and get the answer, not true or false. Okay, so we could save this up. All the background and decoration is made in the slide view. You select slide view, and I just use the format background to insert a picture. And here I also used some backgrounds from the iSpring iSpring content library. Okay, let's go back and see how I added some more parameter to the quiz, because usually when you go inside of a PowerPoint again to the quiz and you don't change this parameters, then you will not be able to answer the questions again. But iSpring programmers have also thought about this situation, and you go to Presentation Explorer, and here is a pull-down menu, and there are properties. It's really hidden, but it's there. Good to know it's there. And with these properties, you can say allow users to interrupt the quiz and restart failed quizzes when revisiting. So this is, here you need to set your tick to restart failed quizzes when revisiting. This is important in this scenario so that you can go again and answer it again. Maybe you are right the second time. Okay. Later we will also see what I did with the branching inside of the presentation Explorer, but not in the moment. So now the quiz will work. I save some time and will not test it. Let's have a look at the iSpring simulation here, the Talkmaster, or called simulation inside of iSpring. And this is definitely made for branching. Wait a moment. Now I go one step back because maybe not everybody knows what simulation is. Let me open. I have so many empty slides here. Let's start a new simulation. How does this work? And so I create a new simulation here. And the first thing when you install, you will get a screen with a video. I have seen this video already. First thing you need to do is to add a new scene. Then you select a character, also from the iSpring database. Let's select her. And you also need to select some background. For example, she is working in a factory, or maybe she's a wood crafter. And now we have a background. That's the place where the story starts, and we have a character we can talk to, or the learner can talk to. Okay, and the interesting thing, this character can have emotions. It can be happy, normal, or puzzled, more unhappy, or really angry. And this will work with all the characters. They can be in these 5 different moods. And imagine there are more than, I think, already 200 different characters with all these 5 emotions. So you have really a big variety inside of the content library. But we have chosen her and start normal. Okay, so this is our first card, and she is saying something. Maybe tell me, oops, how to use no, she needs to ask us a question which can be answered with yes or no, or one of these replies. Tell me what tool for making holes, and maybe I'm wrong with the English words, but this could be the answer here. And okay, and now you have one option for asking. You can already test this, and you don't need to do anything to make it look very pretty, I think. And when I answer, I have to choose one of these sentences. And now I just need to drag these links out and create the next card. For saw, continue the story here. And for knife, I continue the story here. If I have bad and good answers, for holes with a drill, that's the correct answer. So I choose one side of the canvas to create the good and one canvas side for the bad. And when I use the properties, I can give them a color. So this is a green answer, and this one is maybe a red answer. So I can better distinguish when I develop my story how and where I am. So if there is the next one, I add replies again and can pull out these symbols to create the next cards. And if I select giving points here in the results, where is it? Main, enable simulation evaluation, then I can say 3 points is 100%, check final score, and there is not enough. So, okay. And now I need to tell the cards how many points you get for this answer. You can also reduce points with negative. Okay, using this tool, you can really tell good stories and have a real branched scenario. Now let's open the simulation scenario in the Miller case. And here we have a lot of cards. And this is the green, whoops, you can, yes. This is a green one where we can leave everything. And here you can see some loops. It's again you could call this also an excursion where you just go somewhere and come back, go somewhere and come back. The same. No, this is a little bit more complex here. You go somewhere and go back to the beginning. This is an excursion. Okay, and here is the exit. And you can always test it inside. And yeah, we have been in this testing mode already. Good, this is how I created the story here. And let's go back. Now we have all elements we need. And in the Presentation Explorer, we need a little bit more definition what happens after the module ends and where do we go. So this is the Presentation Explorer with all the slides. And to visualize what I did, so we have this first, you remember when we have the first excursion, then we jump from this slide number 3 to slide number 4 and then to slide number 7. So we need to define what happens next when we go to the next slide. From slide number 7, it goes up to slide number 3. And this can be done in the Presentation Explorer very easily. You just select go back. When you click the back button, you go to slide number 3 and nothing happens when you click forward. Okay. Then the next thing I needed to do is to set the tick here, save slide animation state. Otherwise, you would start on any slide from the beginning of the animation. And I think it's very helpful to have this switch always on. It's much more logic than losing the animation. Okay, and I hope we have found some golden nuggets with this module. I want to invite you, maybe you can send the next chapter number 2, and if you have developed something, get into contact with me and we can do a bigger Miller case and find out what really happens. Then there's also the German webinar, but I wrote the wrong link. I don't know why this is always with some apostrophes. That's not true. Just let me write the, I closed it. Let me write the right link to it so that you can find also the German presentation. There was someone from Austria. I need to rescue him from my bad English.
You can send a link in the chat box
that's
to
easy.
the audience.
Okay.
And I wanted to mention and let our attendees know that tomorrow I will be sending out the resources of today's webinar. So there will be the Miller's case PowerPoint presentation that you will be able to download and explore on your own, and also the webinar recording so that you can follow all the steps that Guido was talking about today, which I think is a great opportunity. All right, and we do have some questions. Hope you, Guido, are ready for them. And thank you very much for sharing the link.
I try to make this question window bigger so I can read them also. Already.
Okay, so the first question is from Eric. If you wanted, could you have added audio for Chris so he could actually talk to the viewer?
Yes, of course, that's possible. No, this is really a good idea how to extend this.
Mm-hmm.
And iSpring is the perfect tool for doing it. With managed narration, you can also add it to the sound track of the presentation. Yeah, I haven't tried yet, but I think it's a next step to add some audio.
Mm-hmm.
And wait a moment, so with the iSpring narration editor, you have a timeline for each slide, and when you zoom into the slide, all the yes, yeah, there are some few animations here. Wait a moment, where is it? There. Then you can synchronize the animations with the timeline, but that's another webinar to explain this. Okay, there's
Mm-hmm.
also the possibility to add sound inside of PowerPoint, but sometimes this gets weird effects because it's not good synchronized, but that's a Microsoft story, not an iSpring story.
Right. So it's
Effect options, and here you can add sounds inside. Okay.
so it's possible to add sound using iSpring tools in Talkmaster and in Quizmaker.
Yeah, in Talkmaster, there's an excellent opportunity to add sound. It's much easier than in the other parts because it's a new functionality, and with VoiceOver, you get a list of all dialogues, and you can immediately record them or load a pre-recorded audio for all the sentences and questions in the module,
Mm-hmm.
which makes it really easy to synchronize it with audio.
Mm-hmm. Right. And question from Bruce: is the audio in MP4 format?
The audio which is in the browser, you mean? I don't know. I don't care. I read the audio in MP3 and then iSpring does the rest, and all my customers are happy that they can use any device to watch the presentation. So I think it's made right, and if MP4 might be necessary, it will be MP4. But the most of it is HTML5, and I think MP3, but I'm not sure. I'm not so much in the technical things because I use iSpring for the conversion.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and iSpring will convert the audio.
Yeah. And if it doesn't, I can call the support.
Right. Okay, the next question is from Dorothy. Um, do you write, I'm sorry, did you write the script before the storyboard? And then another question from Amer. What tool is used to build the flow? I guess the storyboard.
PowerPoint. I use PowerPoint. PowerPoint is my, I closed it. Wait, let me open again the how to create the Miller case. Yeah, these flow charts are all made with PowerPoint. It's just a picture here and
Mm-hmm.
a symbol. So this is less magic than the other part, but I like to create animations because during creating the animation, I can think about it, and sometimes doing it, I find that I have to change it. And it's much easier to change a flow chart before you start programming the real thing. So I can really recommend everybody to use your technique to write down or draw or make. Maybe you can use some objects on the table just to visualize what you are planning to do, and it can save so much time to make a plan first. We have a saying in German that a plan exchanges a trial and error by mistake, but no, I cannot translate it really. Sorry, bad joke.
It's okay. And I'm sorry, I didn't catch it. Did you write the script before the storyboard?
You mean every word? No, no, I'm not the type. No, I'm not the character for writing every word in the beginning. This is
So first you started with the storyboard and then some sort of a
yeah.
script appeared. You put
I leave the story in my head.
uh-huh.
All the text is develops when I work with the cards and the storyboard symbols. Then I'm talking to the characters inside of my head, and I'm listening to them in some kind. I spent some of my life playing improv theater, and this helps me a lot creating the characters and stories when I do e-learning modules.
Mm-hmm. All right. And we have another question from Rick, and I'm not sure what kind of links he meant. He's talking about if you insert or delete a slide, do the links adjust automatically?
You mean in PowerPoint?
I think so.
If you link to slide number 3 and you delete slide number 3, you have to take a decision where the link goes now. But if I think I understand your question. Let's go to this picture. Yes, here I jump from 7 to 3, and if I delete 5, it still works. So this will not be disturbed. But if I delete 7, I have to take a new decision for slide number 4, where to go.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, if I delete slides in between, the jump still works.
Mm-hmm. Great. Sounds awesome. All right, next question is from Jim. Can you explain how the quiz fits into these scenarios?
Yeah, I want to make sure that the user has found the information I have hidden somewhere, and with the quiz I can test if he has the information. And so what I ask in the quiz, let's do the quiz, is some of the spooky information about Mrs. Miller.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, yeah, it's one way to create this. I think there are others. These are the questions, and you need to know three of these information, and if you select all 4, it's wrong. So you really need to investigate, and this quiz can help a lot. And I could imagine that you use this for English as a second language training, and it can test the reading skills in the other chapters to add such a quiz, maybe. But I'm not a teacher for language, so I don't know if it
Mm-hmm.
would work.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Guido. And we do have another question. It's from Divya, and maybe you should look at it too because it's kind of a long one, but I'll read
Okay.
it out loud. Does the navigation need to be again defined in the Presentation Explorer? You already had back button in the PowerPoint which helped with the navigation. Then, is it again necessary to define the navigation using the Presentation Explorer?
Why did I add the back button? This was after testing it with some of my friends, and they said, so, hey, wait, I stuck here. So we added the back button because the iSpring button was out of scope during reading. So they were so concentrated on this text and the background and tried to see everything on the picture that when you look this previous selected slide, would this work? Yes. When you see this together with the player buttons are really in the background, and the bigger your screen, the less you would see here. So we added the back button, just it's redundant. Yeah, just to have a bigger visual cue to go back. Everybody can also use the previous button to go back. And with the navigation explorer, you can make sure that it goes to the right slide.
Thank you. And we do have a great comment from Earl. The idea regarding the audio. The idea of recording separately in MP3 and then importing is a good one because PowerPoint records in M4A, which isn't supported in older versions of PowerPoint, for example, 2007. Thank you very much, Earl, for sharing that. All right, and the next question from Stamatia. I apologize if I mispronounce your name. In the simulation, can we have more than one exit?
Yes, it's possible. There is always a message in the end, and it can have more messages. Yeah, possible.
Thank you, Guido. And the question from Sophie. Can you please explain how you link the quiz and/or simulation you have created to the character slide?
Yes. You mean from, for example, from here to the quiz?
I think backwards. Quiz to the character.
Okay, from here to the quiz, it's insert action, mouse click to slide 21 to go to the quiz. Okay. And slide 21 is the quiz. Yeah. And when the quiz ends, we want to go back to the first slide, and this works with iSpring. Here, PowerPoint doesn't help us. So I use the presentation explorer, and from the quiz, where is it here? I say, okay, let's look at this. There is quiz branching, so I can distinguish between fail and pass. And when I have failed the quiz, I go back to slide number 13, where we find our characters. And on passing, I go to the next slide. So when someone passes the quiz, and the next slide is, I will show you, is this one, which says start the next chapter, which doesn't work because you haven't sent the next chapter until now. We need you to create the next chapter. And let's look again in Presentation Explorer 22. What does 22? 22 goes to slide forward branching is to the end. So the simulation is hidden between 22 and 24. Nobody will reach 23 naturally, only by jumping there. Because from, yeah, I think from this slide, yes. Does this answer your question?
I think it does. Sophie, please let us know.
Okay.
All right. Yes, thank you, says Sophie. And we do have a nice comment from John. No questions. Nice presentation. We use branching and do things in a similar way, combining PowerPoint links with iSpring quizzes and simulation. Thanks for sharing your approach. And we also have a comment and a question from James. This was a great presentation, really informative. What other situations do you think it could be applied to?
There's always this info quiz strategy, and I think you should try to break with it. But to break with it in the next module, you need some experience how this branching works. So why not creating a story and try out branching first? And I think it's much better to give some some quiz first, and then gives the information you need to survive the quiz, and then go to the next quiz. And if you don't succeed, gives the information to survive the quiz, and so on. This could have much more interesting learning experience than just info quiz.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it can be applied to any scenario. Branching is necessary to make e-learning more interesting, I think. And yeah, and we see it's a tool inside of games, and it's also a tool inside of e-learning. It's not new for e-learning. We all have done branching there, maybe only little things. And in this module, I have done all these techniques together. So I think that's the difference here.
Right. Right, and the next question is about simulation. The simulation tool is great, but I don't quite understand. When you do the simulation, does it set up the slides, or do you do that manually?
No, it set up all slides. You only select the characters, the background, and then you type the text. And everything else, and the mood of the character, so if it's happy or angry. And if you have done this, then the slides are created automatically. You don't have to care for.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Guido. And a quick question from Hugo. Can we add more characters from our images bank in the library?
Yes, in both in both situations, in simulation or directly in character library. I started it again, yes. And it was there in the other version. It changed a little bit,
Possible
but
to
there is
do it. It's possible to do it in the Talkmaster. Add
is there
your personal characters.
yeah. Let's look at the simulation. There is the tool for extending the local content library. If you create a simulation, you can also add your own characters. I always forget this. So when you go to images and select a character, for example, you can, here in the top corner, top right corner, you can add your own from pictures. Maybe that's also an interesting webinar to add some. So this could be your character, and this has an happy, normal puzzles, and then you add the next one and put them all together in one.
So you can create your
Tool,
own character within.
And the own characters with the own mood. So you can add maybe this one, and so this is the angry one, and this is the happy one. And when you switch in between, it's possible. Sorry, I'm too here. Now this is how it works now. Yeah, there you have different versions, and
You can
maybe
change.
change second one. Oops. Well, this could work. Yeah.
Great.
Okay.
All right. So thank you very much, Guido, for helping out. And we have, I believe, the very last question from Diana. And I'm just wondering if you know by any chance, for people that have hearing or seeing issues, would these scenarios be able to be accessed by them?
Sorry. Can you repeat? I didn't get the question. I was reading another one.
Yeah, for people that have hearing or seeing issues, would these scenarios be able to accessed by them?
I have never worked with people with special needs. I have no idea. Maybe yes, maybe you need to add some special guides to help them, and definitely you need a modern version of PowerPoint, because there's when you go to review, there's now this check accessibility tool, and you can add names to all pictures inside of PowerPoint. And for example, if someone needs a reader, maybe this text would help. But I think mouse over effects are not really helping people who cannot see.
Mm-hmm. Yes, but
That's
then
what I think, but
adding
I'm
narration.
not a specialist.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, so this is definitely a question for investigation for us.
Yeah, right.
I would definitely take it into consideration. All right, so if you guys don't have any other questions for Guido, I think that this is time for us to wrap up. And Guido, just so you know, people are saying that it was, for example, great to know how Quiz, PowerPoint, and Talkmaster can be brought together. Thanks for sharing. I learned some new things. Fantastic webinar. Thank you. Thank you. Very good informative presentation that showed the steps clearly. So thank you very much, Guido, for presenting for us today.
Yeah, I would love to present some of these comments on my website. I think you don't disagree with this option. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
And
and
if you
if
want
you,
to be on my website, leave some more comments.
yeah, send the link in the chat section.
Thank you for the applause, Jim. Okay.
Right, and if you guys would like, you can. Am I correct, Guido, that you're also presenting a German version of this webinar?
There is a recorded
Oh, the
version, and
recorded.
yeah, and I can send my email in the chat again. Where's the chat? Paulina, where's the chat?
The chat should be on the right side of
Here,
the
I got it.
panel.
I got it. Got it.
Yeah, please share your email and web address.
Yes, HTTPS.
Your web address is quite easy. Learn link, learn that link.
It's the German learn, not the English learn.
Yes. So, okay, you
Yeah, thank
sent
you,
it.
Paulina, for giving me this opportunity. And yeah, it's important which time zone.
Absolutely.
I think.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So, again, thanks everyone for joining us today. We really appreciate you spending the time to come and learn something new and share your thoughts as well as your questions. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Thank you, Guido. We hope that sometime soon maybe you'll be able to participate with another great webinar for all the iSpringers. And
Yeah,
see you next week. We will be holding another webinar with one of our clients, and he will be talking about automating non-learning process with a learning tool like iSpring, and we will be sending out the invites shortly. All right,
this
bye-bye.
sounds interesting. Bye bye,
Yeah,
Paulina. Thank you.
absolutely. Thank you, Guido. Bye-bye, everyone. See you next week.
Bye.